Straight West Coast style. Peep the script.
What up, though? This is Big Snoop Dogg hanging out with Dave Aron, engineer extraordinaire. When you want your records to sound like Snoop Dogg, get at Dave Aron so it can sound real slide, like that. You know what I'm talking about?
I went to Memphis, University of Memphis, and they had a program down there, but they didn't have very many programs when I started, you know?
Right on.
So I was always playing in bands in high school and this and that, but I got, you know, ready to really, you know, put the big picture together. I like putting the whole big picture together, you know, instead of just, you know, performing one aspect or this or that. That's why, you know, I played a little bass, I played a little sax, I played a bunch of stuff, but I never really got into performing or this and that, you know, so much, you know. I more liked putting everything right. So when I was looking for schools, I was, you know, they had Full Sail, they had a couple things, but I wanted like a university also, so, you know, education. So I found Memphis. There was only like 4 or 5 schools that even offered it back then, you know, it wasn't very many. So I figured, I grew up in Jersey. I figured out the South would be something different. So I went down there, and it was real cool. It was all like, you know, crazy to see the studio for the first time. At the 24-track board, it looked like 96 tracks to me then, you know? Yeah. I was like, damn. And I went through the program and started working at a couple studios there. I did my internship at Aron, which was like, you know, the studio in Memphis. And then I got a job at Sun Studio, which had like the reputation for, you know, all that old stuff that Jerry Lee Lewis and Elvis, Carl Perkins, Johnny Cash, you know, Howlin' Wolf, all the classic stuff, you know, from the South back then. So I was running shit over there. I was like, you know, engineering, mixing. I was a studio manager, you know, and that's when a U2 session came in, and they did that Rattle and Hum, a couple songs there, and I was like, damn, this is like, they were my favorite group at the time, you know. It was like 1987, so I was like, fuck, this is unbelievable, you know. Like, my favorite group is here recording. They're so big, I couldn't believe it. And you know, that kind of let me know. I was like, I think, you know, anything could kind of happen then, you know. Yeah. You're like, damn, I really can do some shit. Yeah. So I started working with bands live sound because there wasn't that many studio gigs in Memphis at that time, you know. Yeah. After I got out of Sun, I started doing live mixing, and that's how I learned how to do the live mixing I do for Snoop now, you know. I was doing bands. I did the like biggest hippie psychedelic band in Memphis at the time, cool. And then their rival band, who was also our friends though, really, you know, they weren't really rivals, but they were the only other band that was doing anything in Memphis. They got signed, and they to like Columbia or something. They did an album. And this guy, David Leonard, came in with David Kahn producing, the guy that produced the Sublime stuff. Yeah. And he was producing a bunch of stuff back then. He was using David to mix. And they were doing that album, and I was going to the studio and hanging out because that guy was doing some demos with my band that I was working with at the time, this like pop band or whatever, you know. So I started hanging in the studio, and he was like, man, you should move to LA, you know, because you seem like you got a kind of a knack for it, but you're not going to really do that much out here, you know? So I went over there to L.A. 10 days later, I was gone. Now, this is what I want to do. Yeah. And I moved out here, and I got my job over there at Music Grinder Studio. As soon as I moved out here, I was a runner. And then, like, 2 weeks later, I got a job at Larrabee. And I was like, man, I can't pass up the job at Larrabee because they were doing everything at the time. And I ended up just quitting the Music Grinder gig, going over to Larrabee. I learned from, you know, this guy Keith Cohen and Dave Pinsato, Dave Way, all these different people that were mixing over there. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis was coming in every day producing, Teddy Riley, L.A. Reid and Babyface producing. I mean, all these different producers, you know, and everybody just coming in, engineers to mix records. They specialized in mixing over there. So I worked up quickly as a runner. I was like a runner for like a month, and I got an assistant gig. And that's how I learned all my shit from, like, really, you know, the school gave me the basics, but when I got over there, when I did like 2 years of working every day with, you know, major artists, And I worked for like another like 2 years with Prince, you know, and when Prince was coming in and we kind of hooked up and I started doing all that stuff, that's what, you know, really shaped what I was doing, you know. It really let me know that when I got into like a major situation, I was going to be able to really handle the shit, you know, really be able to handle myself, you know, in a professional manner and make it all happen like really quick. And it wasn't like now, you know, now they got undo buttons. They got, you know,
if you're gonna punch it, you're gonna take it. You're gonna take it and
yeah, that's how it was then, you know. So when we were doing, like, I was doing Prince album, he was like punching right after this. If you erased a word before, the line before, I mean, you were done. I mean, you weren't really gonna be in the studio that much, you know. So you really had to be focused, and you really had to be on your game a lot more, you know. It wasn't like you know, a little bit now. You had a little more leeway here and there, you know. If you fucked up now, you know, you can kind of get out of it. But then, it was like there was no getting out of it, you know. So, you know, after working with Prince, I mean, he was real demanding and he expected a whole lot, you know. So I would always just, I'd end up, you know, doing real well with him and not making him mad. And once you would achieve that, shit, you work with Prince and not have him mad at you, you know, for a long time. He can pretty much do anything, work with anybody.
A dream,
you know?
man.
Yeah, you know.
He's awesome, man.
Because he's so demanding and he expects so much, and I've seen him run so many people out of the room, you know, and be like, you know, you guys are in kindergarten. I mean, he's really rough on people, you know. So, you know, you're working with him, you're doing your thing, you're working with all these other people and everything, you know, they keep requesting you back and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, that's really what it's all about, you know.
Definitely.
You want to get that request back all the time, repeat business like in any other business, you know. You want to keep coming back to you, keep using you over and over, you know. Have everybody like you, you know, and I mean, that's what it's all about. I started working on. I quit the Larrabee gig because I knew at that point being a staff engineer was going to be limiting, and I really wanted to make my independent career go. So I ended up quitting there, started hustling gigs, and there was a lot of up-and-coming rap stuff going on then. You know, hooked up with like Grand Jury and a bunch of different people, you know, that were doing, you know, underground rap projects and this and that. But at the same time, they had just done the Chronic over at Larrabee, and Daz kept coming back over there to work, and Snoop kept coming back over there to work, and Daz would keep on calling like for an engineer to come in and work with them, and they kept calling me because, you know, I had a good background for that kind of stuff, and they weren't throwing me off like the rest of the people, you know. So I'd go in, I work with Daz a lot. Next thing you know, I'm working with Snoop a lot because they're cousins, you know. I did the Dog Pound album. I started doing, you know, I was over there. I started, the girl at Death Row was running stuff. She was like, hey, I can hire you all the time if you got time, you know. I'm like, call me all the time. I love you guys, you know. So we just started going from there. And I ended up, you know, working with Pac the night he got out of jail because I was doing so well over there. They were like, hey, work with Pac, you know, we need you to do the session. Got out of jail, we did Ambitions as a Rider, we did I Ain't Mad At You that night. And he, again, was another kind of Prince type in his own way. He really demanded excellence, and he wanted it now and quick, you know. But after, like I said, working with all these other people, I was really ready for that at that time, you know. And it was like, you know, I was doing it at the biggest level, you know, at that point.
Yeah,
you know?
You don't just jump into the biggest pool. You gotta,
you know, you gotta work your way up. You know, and start doing stuff. You know? You don't expect to just jump in and you think, oh man, I'm gonna be like the bomb right all of a sudden. You know, it might happen that way. You know, but you're still gonna pay dues along the way. You're still gonna pay dues beforehand. You know, even if it looks that way, it probably wasn't. They probably did a whole lot of work years and years before. You know, to get where they were. You know. And just because you just heard of them, it seems as though they just made it overnight, you know. But they've been doing it. They've been putting in work, you know. So, you know, we started doing those albums. It became, you know, became big, and you know, it was kind of on after that. But that's how you gotta work your way through all the mess, all that stuff, you know. Yeah, you know. I mean, I moved out there. I just wanted like a couple. You know, maybe another number one, you know, maybe a plaque on the wall or something like that. But, you know, it ended up more than that, you know. And as things start to happen, you start to see that, wow, you know, I can really parlay that into a little more, and it could be more than what I was really originally thinking, you know. So you just keep on moving up from there and there. And next thing you know, you got a couple things under your belt, and you got kind of what they call a career happening, So that's kind of how I moved through the years,
When I put the SSL, I knew that if I had it right around like like 10 o'clock or so, that it was going to sound right on most people, but it didn't. If I got LaToya Williams in there singing all of a sudden and she just belts it out, there ain't no way I'm going to have it at 10 o'clock. I got to have it around 9 or 8 because she is belting it out. And I just want it to where it's not clipping, where it's hitting the right record right and everything. There ain't no number I'm going to go by. If Snoop gets in the booth and he does all his background vocals like from me to Anthony where the mic is, he does his shit, he backs way up here and does it. And he talks low anyway, so he's just like, ha, 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 all the way from over here. You think I'm going to record that at the same level as I recorded Dad's? Ain't no way, You're going to have the mic pre up here at like damn 12, 1 o'clock, So what is 3, It's nothing. Totally get that shit out of your head. Just the stuff that needs it. Same with EQ, same with compression.
Things ain't the same, man. You acting kinda strange. Yeah. You need to check yourself. You acting kinda weird, man. Weird, man. You need to check yourself. You acting kinda strange. So strange. You need to check yourself. You acting kinda weird man, yeah. Need to check yourself, Now you're sitting up in high places. You seem to forget where you're coming from.
Man, I would go from right here. I thought it was all good up until right here, so I'll go back right before that.
You acting kinda weird man, yeah. Need to check yourself, Now you're sitting up in high places. You seem to forget where you're coming from, Think
that's why I would have that.
Places. You seem to forget where you're coming from, Think you better than everyone else, 'cause you're sitting on the eye.
And that gives it that human element. That's why I do it by hand instead of like drawing it in.
Weird man, yeah. Need to check yourself, Now you're sitting up in high places. You seem to forget where you're coming from, Think you better than everyone else, 'cause you're sitting on the iron we're down, Sitting on the iron we're down, And now you don't have time for your old friend, but remember where you're coming from. Yes, you treat I and I like I don't exist. Mr. Big Man, tell I was wrong.
That's good.
I don't know, man. You thought so?
I didn't do it.
For your old friend, but remember where you're coming from. Yes, you treat I and I like I don't exist. Mr. Big Man, tell I was wrong. Yeah. Now you're living in this your high society. It's like you forget where you're from and you forget identity. Don't get lost in Babylon, come back to your history where you stupid. My friends, but now you turn away from me. Man, it hurt me to my soul and it hurt me to my heart. To see the way you turn out, man, it's tearing me apart. Remember when we used to sing my love in our heart?
Yeah. All the homies that I ain't talked to in a while, I'ma send this one out for y'all, know what I mean? 'Cause I ain't mad at you.